In today's episode, we are hosting Kushal Shah, co-founder of Trestle. Trestle provides identity data APIs you need to create, develop, and reinforce customer relationships. Trestle counts companies like MasterCard, Starbucks amongst its customers and has been growing at a steady pace. Today, Trestle serves 300 million plus API calls on a monthly basis. In this podcast episode, we are going to learn all about how Kushal built the business and the different challenges that he faced and how he solved them to build this into a sustainable business. Hello everyone. Today we are hosting Kushal Shah, CEO of Trestle and also a serial entrepreneur who has co-founded companies like Ikata, has been part of Microsoft, White Pages, and many more startups and companies. Through a span of a career that has been very illustrious and has spanned over 2 decades. So, hi Kushal, glad to be meeting you today. How are you?
Um, Glad to meet you, first of all, Ayush. Thank you for this opportunity and looking forward to this conversation. Doing good. I'm here on a short visit, both business and personal. So, so it's good to meet the team, and then yeah, always good to be back in India. So, having good food and having good time.
Glad to meeting you here, and of course, India is known for good food and good hospitality, so you got to enjoy.
Yes,
No
yes,
doubt.
absolutely.
Yes. So, Kushal, tell us more about what you're currently building. Trestle, I know it as a identity data API company, but why not you take a few minutes to explain what Trestle is all about and the kind of impact that you're creating for your customers?
Yeah, I'm the co-founder for Trestle, TrestleIQ.com, and we are in the identity data APIs space, specifically focusing on two use cases. One is caller identification, and another one is lead verification and enrichment. So, what I mean by caller identification, it's a B2B business. So, a call comes into a call center. They want to know who is calling in, from where, what are the potential um, behavioral characteristics about this person calling in, this lead calling in, so that we can appropriately route the call, appropriately have the right person take the call, so on and so forth, or fill the CRM systems and so on and so forth. So we help with that. And then the other is lead verification, whether it's inbound web form signups, it's outbound calls through a lead list that you have received. So verifying those leads, and then essentially enriching them as well, so that businesses can improve their engagement and conversions. We focus on that. So, that's the, and we do that through the identity data. So like phone, name, address, email kind of data, and we essentially uh, source this data from various sources, credit bureaus, telco providers, so that we can build specific solutions for these use cases that I talked about and provide them through the APIs. Um, this is something, this space or this domain, I have been at it for a while. So Trestle, we just started 18 months ago now, actually just finishing 18 months in the next couple of days. But yeah, being in this space for a while, we'll talk about that in a bit, and having a good ride, it's a good experience for sure.
Great, great. So, see, for any successful business, what we call as a product market fit is important. So, two, three aspects that I'd like to talk about this. So, one is, how did you test a product market fit for this, which includes like, probably finding your first customers, which is very important for any business. Second, tell us some more elaboration in terms of, what kind of value your product is creating for the customer.
Yeah. So, in terms of product market fit, one thing is the I don't know if it's advantage, but the good thing here is, I wish we have been doing this for a while. the previous company that I was part of, called Ekata. There as well, we focused on identity verification using identity data. A little bit different use cases, but being in this space for a while, being in this domain for a while, I joined that company pretty early on, and then working with the founder there, I got a very good experience of uh, the product market fit for those identity data APIs. When we picked a particular use case, went after it there. But through that experience, the good part was I understood a lot about the market and the potential solutions, and also got exposure to some use cases there. We didn't pursue those use cases there, but it was always like, okay, we can go after them. That might be interesting opportunity. And so once my stint at Ekata completed, I think you know, but for the audience, Ekata got acquired by MasterCard in 2021. So after that, and after finishing my stint there, we were me and my co-founder, who was also at Ekata, so we knew each other for 10 plus years again. So we came together and said, hey, there are some interesting things that we have seen through the years. So we know this market, we know what are the potential use cases there that we can still serve in the market. So should we go after it? It was an interesting time. At that time, I was like just finishing up a big, huge stint at Ekata, and fortunately a successful stint. So it was just the difficult decision was, startups are not easy. Do I want to immediately start on this next stint, or wait for it a little bit? But then we decided it's a good opportunity. So we went after it. And yeah, here we are 18 months later. So to your question on the product market fit, a lot of it was through my experience on domain and being out there within the Ekata world, and being doing this for a long time. So really that helped me figuring out the product market fit even here. And so it was relatively an easier thing than probably some other startups that have to go through it and so on and so on.
Okay. So you talked about about challenges, while building any startup. So maybe you would like to go deeper into some of the challenges that you had to face, especially building the company. So one thing, of course, as I can hear, you were able to solve it, finding your first customers, given the experience that you had.
Yes.
But the technology challenges, especially in the space that you're building, because this is all about covering things that others are not able to do. I think you are pretty much working on the edge of data. Like, how do you figure out data that is probably not available to the naked eye? So, what were some of those challenges, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, very broad question. I understand challenges, opportunities, whichever way we look at it. I mean, we can start a little bit on the technological pieces. Again, the interesting thing for us is we are working on identity data APIs. We do not deal with SSN number and other that kind of regulated data in US, but more of like phone name, address, email, as I was talking. But nevertheless, it is sensitive data. It is PII data. So making sure we think about it from the onset, and it is privacy and security first development, having that discipline and building that as a principle was something we were very mindful of from the onset. It was an experience I learned at Ekata, those good habits, if you will, but ensuring everybody around me also understands why we do what we do, because some of these things takes time to realize why you're doing it. So that was always interesting in that regard, to work with sensitive data. Number two is the data is huge. We are dealing with somewhere around 5 terabytes of data. So identity data for people and businesses both in US and Canada, few billion linkages between person name, person address, name, email, so on and so forth. So, so that data again becomes an asset for us. but it also means that how do you work with such humongous data sets? It is a big data problem, so you have to work through that. And then the third piece here also is I like there is data, but as you said, right, building the right solutions for specific use cases out of this data is where we bring enterprise value for the business as well as for our customers, right? So focusing on that piece and building the actual product which leverages solution, which leverages data to right solutions is important for us. I think one question I missed from you, you were asking like, what's the value for the customer, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, here caller identification. Call centers can keep their queue very static, first in, first out, or they can say that how can we improve engagement, conversion, especially if a lead is calling in. And in that regard, leveraging our data to dynamically adjust the call queue or route the call to a local call center agent based on where the call is coming from, so on and so forth. So that customer satisfaction that call center businesses are able to deliver, that's the value we add. Lead verification. There's always, wherever you enter identity data, every business wants to know in the digital world today that is there a real person behind this, and if the information that is being provided is who they say they are.
Right.
And that verification is what we provide. That's the value addition we provide. And in terms of technological things, making sense of that data and figuring out what the right solution is and what the insights to provide, that's always something interesting that we look at. And the final one I would say is providing the APIs at scale, high enterprise availability, and extremely low latency. We always think about it this way, right? You go to facebook.com, you load a page. It takes maybe a few seconds.
1/10 of a second.
Or maybe 1/10. Let's say that's 100 milliseconds. It actually takes more than that. But you like bat your eyelid, right? You're batting your eyelid today is 200 milliseconds. And we deliver data as fast as 50 milliseconds for 99% of the queries.
Wow.
So providing those data APIs at scale, enterprise availability, and at that low latency is an interesting technological challenge that we provide to our customers. And yeah, so I always say that we are not just a data company, a data solutions company, and it means doing a lot of this work in terms of the technological pieces through which we add value for the business. And those are challenges, those are opportunities that somebody else not doing. That is my margin essentially, right, as I call it. So that's what we focus on. And that's some of the technological challenges.
Right. No, I read that you are currently in fact serving up to 300 million APIs on a monthly basis. So if you could share some of the lessons that come with scale, because like that's a scale that not many businesses are able to achieve, and once achieved, pretty much you are on the edge every day, because now you are talking like every second or every millisecond becomes so important.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that we have to do from the onset as a startup is follow the best practices in terms of software development lifecycle, SDLC principles. And that is building that discipline from the onset. That is something that we had kept in mind as we started this business, because we wanted to serve at this scale from the onset.
Okay.
It wasn't saying.
So the foundation was
Yes.
always built keeping that in mind.
Exactly. So building that foundation from the onset, while trying to be, I would say, quick reactive enough as a startup that we have to be. I think we did a good job at that. That is something I'm very proud of in terms of what the team has been able to do, understanding why and building that culture around that piece. So I would say that it started there. Uh, Challenges are there. If, again, I say them as opportunities, but at this scale, every day there is something or the other. But the big piece was we knew this is what we want to do. This is where we will get to very quickly. And so starting the foundation with that right principles has been immensely helpful. And once you understand that's the foundation you have to build, every day, every developer is making the right decisions because they know what they want to do and why they are doing it.
I think that's the clarity from the top that
Exactly.
transcends to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Again, very well put. So then I don't have to think about um, supervising it, or I don't have to think twice about it. I know every developer is thinking about it, so they will run with it very carefully and in a very balanced approach. So that has been something that has served us well.
And how did you build that thing? Because um, for any entrepreneur, the biggest challenge is having a team that they can be confident about, and it happens over time. I believe again that there's no magical formula to it that I could expect, but still some of the best practices that that you look back and think that wow, this was the good decisions that I made in regard to the team and team building and the culture.
Team building, I mean, a few things I'll say. Number one is, again, like, I didn't exactly ask this, but it always helps to know the domain well. And that continuity, where somebody is at it for years together, it compounds. Especially when the culture, like a lot of times, is that hey, few years here, a few years in the next domain, and so on and so forth. So for us, that has been important. That me and my co-founder both have been at it for 10 plus years. So what we were able to do is have that clarity to explain that to the team, and also find the right team. We partnered with my browser on that from the onset.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say shameless, but I mean, you folks have done a tremendous
Thank
job
you.
at it.
Thank
So being very clear about what I wanted and finding the right partner for that has been something a little bit I am proud of about ourselves. And then we got lucky working with a great team, starting with Mind Bowser, and then as we expanded that team. So um, having that clarity, giving them the why, reasoning, and then another thing I've learned from a few of my mentors is repeat the message. These are some things that you have to repeat consistently.
I call it like the deliberate practice.
Deliberate practice, yeah, I see why you say that. Because again, it's a human thing to like deviate away.
Right.
But if you can repeat the message and help them keep that forefront of your minds, and with a clear why, it helps. And then then you're able to also give the freedom to the team to execute on it and in a quick pace. So I would say, yeah, domain knowledge, a right team that we partnered with, and then being able that clarity of the message and repeating it is a discipline that I learned. Has been super helpful for us through this journey.
One thing I'd like you to go a bit deeper in relation to the team is, many times founders have a challenge when the team is not locally available to them, like offshore setting. So, many times we have this notion that, culture or practices can be delivered more when you have a local presence or, you are like near to each other. You have worked with a team that was pretty much in a 12-hour difference time zone and so far. So like what would be some lessons around that, especially if you want to make offshore work? Because if you make it work, you create definitely a great economies of scale and great efficiency both on time and money. So how did you make it work?
Yeah, I mean, again, like one thing I'll like what entrepreneurs who are looking for. I mean, I absolutely believe that in the tech space today, um, every business, especially in the US, has to think about offshore or remote companies from the business perspective. In 2024, understanding the macro trends that we have, that is a given. If somebody's not doing that, then that is something I would advise them to absolutely do. Is it easy? No. I've had experience doing that throughout my career, so I've learned a lot of lessons. And you can spend a lot of time around it. But one thing I'll say is, it is one team. It is not US team and India team. It is one team. And so keeping that principle in mind and inculcating that in the culture is important. And once you start doing that, then um, again, people understand why around it, and they take the right decisions independently as well. So there is never that, oh, it is India team, so it's okay if they don't attend the team meeting, and I will just give them the gist of it. Or it is okay that we are not covering some of the business context with them, and we will just give them the requirements and so on and so on. It's one team, have to be always thought about it that way, and then you as well as everybody within the team is making big and small decisions with that mindset. You have to have that mindset because a lot of people have to make sacrifices to make the times work on both sides. Um, and if you get them to understand the why and you realize that it is part of an extended team, then again, a lot of things become very easy in terms of communication, in terms of driving things forward, in terms of predictability, and so on and so forth. So, that's what I again, like we can talk a lot about it, but for me, the term that I've learned over the years is, oh, it's one team. Anybody says it's an India team and it's US team, I always correct them. No, it is one team. It's even saying that, oh, it's an India
That
team,
makes all the
you start thinking a little bit of a different mindset. So that I correct, like it's a very small thing, but I correct them about that. And then a lot of decisions flow from that. So I've been very mindful of that piece, and I've learned the hard way on a lot of these things. The team, especially the offshore remote teams, like the biggest complaint I always hear is they feel left out, they feel isolated, they feel that they are being treated as second class citizens. And so those are the things that I always know.
And that will become like a vicious circle because
it becomes a vicious circle, absolutely.
the
So
outcome would also be secondary.
exactly right, because they are not taking the responsibility then due to that. So starting with that mindset, mindset again is that it's a one team. It's just an extended thing. US also people work remote now. So it's just about that, a little bit with a different time zone. But getting that ball rolling there, and then everybody follows that has been something I've learned, and it has served as well to change in that mindset from the onset.
Okay. So the last question for today would be, what holds in future for Trestle? So what are the big plans? Anything that you can share on record?
I mean, again, it has been a good 18-month ride for us. We continue to scale. We are also a profitable business, which I'm very proud of. Very different than a lot of startups, but that's what we wanted to do, and that's how we wanted to run it. But we reinvest everything back into the business. So, goal is to continue to grow in the identity verification space, building identity data solutions. We have a few. It's a broad market, but we have a few use cases and a few target markets. So we continue to scale very quickly there. um, and yeah, execute well. Right now, I genuinely believe yeah, maybe a different podcast, but it's not just product market, but we have a good product market channel fit that has been that has been working well for us, and we just need to execute very well around that before we expand a little bit more again in the identity verification umbrella for some additional target markets and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's just execute right now.
Great. Thank you so much for this conversation, Kushal. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for listening, and yeah, have a great day.